In Africa, the ecological imaginaries of the local religions promote moral reasons for preserving the land, and ecofeminists such as Wangari Maathai cultivate the natural environment and empower people in poverty even in the face of material power causing ecological injustice and civic and economic development of Nigeria and other African countries at the expense of the localized religions.
The strongest progression of bridging a gap between two worlds is understanding. The strongest movement is through mental compression. African religious traditions, endemic to the continent, possess a strong relationship with the local ecosystems that is honored with divine grace. The texts of African traditions lay in land, in the shrines that are developed and maintained for deities belonging to the local rivers, mountains, and forests. The ritual of personhood for many African traditions, in terms of youth maturing into adulthood, occurs with the separation from the family and being brought into the closeness of nature in order to become an adult. These practices or rituals are performed in the sacred places, which are central to the nature religion element of the African traditions, which becomes central as more practitioners are employed by the land in farming, ranching, and hunting. The commonality in theology is that the most sacred sites have unique natural surroundings, waterfalls, forests. Specific mountains are sacred because the gods reside in these places and must be shown the utmost respect and love. The organization of the nature religions of Africa can be seen as an exercise in structural power in that they formulate the relationship between people and land and create strong morals for the role of man within the environment. The initiation ceremonies for African religions traditions include physical, emotional, and psychological changes and are performed on those finishing puberty. When the initiation takes place, history is learned and memorized, and offerings are made to sacred deities. The Osun Grove of Ozgobo, Nigeria, is one such place, which is infused with sacrality and given to love and preservation by the followers. Water is the source of life, and the names given to the bodies of water connect them to deities such as the river Niger, which has Odo Oya, named from the Yoruba goddess Oya. The water was the source of life for the town. The river allowed the growth for the water, which was then in turn given love and respect and named after a deity, and even named after the city and region. The religious tradition in itself is a model for the safe practice of structural power in the world. The new initiatives into the community are sent into the brush to be close to nature, as well as to gain a better understanding of it and know their own role as a shepherd and a protector of the sacred sites. In terms of ecological justice, the religion actually takes a stand on what is to be done with the land and for it to be preserved and shepherded by the followers. The initiates learn how to honor and calmly live with nature as their tradition dictates through religious interpretation, discipline of marriage, initiation, birth, and death.
The issue for the sacred places of Africa have usually been due to a conflict between cultural heritage and civic expansion. Development of large population centers and hydroelectric power projects place sacred sites in danger of destruction by flooding. Since life develops near rivers and African religious traditions often have their sacred texts and places rich in water such as the Osun Grove, many sacred places are in danger of and have been destroyed by dam flooding. The truth of the matter is this is a material power struggle. Cities need electricity, and building dams is a simple way to produce energy. However, it is an ecological injustice because the people who live in the groves and the divine lords and ladies of the sacred places are not part of the decision-making process. Destruction of sacred groves is not unheard of, as sacred groves in Kenya were obliterated by British colonialists in 1914 in order to kill off any resistance and allow Protestant Christianity to take hold in the region for further control by the invaders. The next facet of environmental justice is strong political action by people such as Wangari Maathai and the Greenbelt movement. Wangari Maathai started and works in the Greenbelt movement working with poor people in order to increase the amount of clean nature in Africa in order to promote biological diversity and preservation and happiness. The work addresses poverty and conservation with multiple solutions along the themes of agriculture and self-sustaining work that does not erode the land. Wangari Maathai argues that the presence of beauty and nature encourages people to help and conserve and work together. This could be seen as its own form of discursive power from a natural resource similar to that which happens in African religious traditions in terms of a closeness to nature. Tree planting is very important to the continent of Africa. Nigeria, the location of the Osun Grove, lost 5.6% of its tree cover from 2001 to 2016, which is equivalent to 44.5 megatons of carbon dioxide emissions. The Greenbelt movement has been working in many countries to plant trees and remove denuded landscapes and stop erosion of large mountains and landscapes that comes from deforestation. It's an important way to counteract poverty, as when trees are deforested, the soil erodes into the water, but with forests, the water is clean. Zimbabwe has lost 165 kilohectares of tree cover and now has only 2.2% forest left. Even the Democratic Republic of the Congo, which has 69% tree cover over its nation, lost 5.6% of that over the course of the last 15 years. The necessity of the combined efforts of the eco-imaginaries of African religious traditions and the work by activists and environmentalists is paramount to saving the forests and continent of the world. The combined effort of ecofeminists such as Wangari Maathai and the divine morals of creation for preserving the land can work together to relieve pain and poverty for Africa and bring together peoples of singular religions to bring prosperity to the working class, as well as the spiritual divine and the structure of safe and environmentally friendly living.